which was something like, it seemed to me that communism was an ideology which had served its time and was increasingly less relevant. And I suddenly found that the taxi drivers of Fort Cochin were taking out a protest march against me. So I'm not therefore going to speak on this subject.
I actually had another question related to what Shekhar Rao was asking. You have this very touching anecdote of an Indian lady shopping for fish somewhere in South London, and the fishmonger is Pakistan. And she's looking around and she says, are these fresh, and these prawns fresh? And the Pakistani stops and says, I'll get the better stuff for you. And then he says, they're talking in Hindi and Urdu, and he says that, aapka liye wo acha cheez dena chahiye. For ourselves we give, for our people we give the best, we give the good stuff. Now,
to add to that, I must say that whenever I'm abroad and if there's a Pakistani driver of any cab, he never charges me.
Okay. No, so I think that actually that underlines what I'm trying to say.
That's the sentence.
So that's
no, it's not that. I think that even if I was not a celebrity, there are a lot of people. There is much more togetherness of people outside India. It only happens when matches are there. Then you basically fight for your country.
That anecdote only underlines the question I'm going to ask you. Is that you have people coming from Pakistan to India, India going to Pakistan, and you only have stories of how well they were received, what fantastic hospitality they had, what camaraderie there was. Yet, at the level of the state, at the level of nationalism, there's so much hostility. How do we explain these two completely different levels?
So that is so true. I mean, another similar anecdote is that my mother-in-law, Namita Gokhale, who runs the Jaipur Literature Festival, a festival, not unlike the one that's now starting, or this is the first year of, in Kolkata. She said that in London, where inevitably, when you call a minicab or a taxi service, you have a Pakistani driver. She said every time, the guy driving is like turning around and chatting and asking about the family and saying, oh, we love Indians so much and we're the same people, and it's like these two, and immediately that conversation is happening. But as you say, at the state level, it's the exact opposite. And there are all sorts of very detailed historical or political reasons for that. Whether it's the wars that have been fought or the way in which partition happened or whatever else. But in essence, the way I would see it is that as long as people from Pakistan, whether they're trained, funded and organized by the ISI, whether they're freelance jihadis to whom a blind eye is turned, who then go to Bombay on 26/11, as long as that is happening, the problem remains. I don't see how at the government-to-government level there can really be any improvement while that sense of threat persists. That is the way I would see that.
Oh, yeah.
To Mr. K, you're from the film industry and you're in the business of telling stories. You think you've done justice to the story of India and its history, or have you been economical with the truth?
Vision has not done it. How do you expect a commercial film, which is a business, it's like asking a Colgate, have you done justification? I think film industry is a business. And in that, there are certain stories which people love, there are certain stories which people don't love. We got this industry status 4 years back. We have been making movies since 1931. And so if the government recognizes the film industry after 55 years of independence, I think till then, but I think we as filmmakers and we as actors have kept the country together, because when you watch a movie, you don't think of caste, creed or religion. And especially people who live abroad, for them, movies are the best ambassadors. I think for that, I'm very proud to be part of it. They are living in Delhi in refugee camps. But governments after governments have paid no attention to their plight in their own country.
This despite the fact that Kashmiri Brahmins at one time formed the most powerful political elite in Delhi.
Yeah, we had the first Prime Minister was a Kashmiri.
What was the first thing? The calls ran the thing, PN Haksar, DP Thar, PN Dar, you name the top mandarins, it's the Kashmiri Brahmin. That's important because despite that, there hasn't been enough attention paid to the plight of the Kashmiri Brahmins in the valley.
So there's a political agenda about it, to answer one of the questions. There's a total political agenda. As individual, the Prime Minister of the country is friends with the Prime Minister of Pakistan.
This issue, word patriotism, it very often has a negative implication. But although there are excesses within the Hindutva movement, I think that as a generalization, that there is a kind of sense of nationhood, a sense of patriotism. It might best be summed up in something like those charts that you used to get of the ideal boy. And this is the way that the ideal boy is meant to behave towards his parents, towards his school teacher. These are the organizations that he's meant to join in order to be an ideal citizen. And I think at its best that kind of Indian patriotism is an extremely useful unifying force. I mean, to have the opposite of that, to have no sense of national pride, it means that the kind of cohesiveness of a nation simply starts to evaporate. So, although of course it can be tipped too far one way or the other, essentially I think it's vital to the idea of India.
Thank you, Patrick French. That was marvelous. Please come back to Calcutta soon and launch your next book here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm very pleased.
May I, on behalf of the Apeejay